All right, question to the both of you. How do you guys feel about the Rock's presentation? And what I mean by that is, did you guys like the fact that he wasn't his final boss character and kind of was just, I guess,
Should I be quiet on this one? Should I let the Netflix breathe and keep brewing in this era of positivity?
I'm asking.
Okay, that's a good question, Brian, because I feel like he specifically did that just because this was such a monumental thing that it was just like, let me come out here and just be the people's champ and blah 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 blah. Because it wouldn't make sense for him to come out here and be heel Rock. Oh, you jabroni, shut that! Like, he's just acknowledging everything that's going on and the monumental steps they're making. Moving to Netflix, this and that. So I think it was appropriate for what the situation was. Because, like I said, with him coming out and acknowledging Cody, blah 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 blah, all this like being all positive, I think it was just for that. Obviously, it wasn't to push any other storyline stuff, because even in the Roman match, I was low key I'm like, he's gonna take out Roman. I thought it was gonna happen.
We were waiting for it.
I was waiting for it because I'm like, you did all these subtle things, coming out bad blood, all this, and we've seen nothing from it, and now it just doesn't even make sense. So, I think all of that was just for this episode and for what Raw on Netflix was. So
The Rock.
So, yeah.
What can we say about The Rock? Oh boy. It was an advertisement for Netflix, and I understand that, and it's a new era and stuff like that, and we're entering a new era. That's cool and all, but I'm tired of The Rock. I'm tired of him with these long soliloquies and him rambling on. He's incoherent. He goes from one thing to the other. He's praising Netflix. Finally, we're back to Netflix, and it's like, no, we're not. This is the first edition of that. You can't use that as yet. That part, him talking about his dad and all this other stuff, and then going back, and then it's like, it was an advertisement, and he was trying to do a sell job, and it was just like
he was winging it.
Yeah. We don't. Yes, and we don't need that.
He was just winging it.
At this stage of The Rock's career, or whatever this is, or the final era, or whatever the case may be, we don't need him to wing it. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. And yes, it's all joyful to see The Rock out there parading around and saying a whole bunch of shit, saying bullshit, cussing in front of his kids, acknowledging Cody Rhodes, even though you beat him with a belt in the backyard. And the damn backstage and bleeding them out in front of the bus and all this other stuff. And it's like, okay, it's cool that The Rock's back, but it's like at some point, this stuff has to make sense. It has to be logical. And The Rock playing different characters, if he comes out next week and then he's cussing and calling people bitches and all this other shit and being the heel, it's like, just be that. Just be that from the get-go.
We've seen Vince do that. We've seen Vince do that forever.
I mean, I would think that after this Monday that we wouldn't see The Rock for we shouldn't see The Rock for a couple of weeks. That way we can kind of let people slowly forget about the first Raw.
Why come back then?
That's that character.
But why come back then?
Come back and do this.
He's in a wrestler's role. He's not in an owner role
but again, he's also on the board now. He's also has to acknowledge. Why do you think he was naming out all these Netflix people that nobody knows who the fuck they are? And we're like,
another thing we didn't need that because we don't care about those people.
Because obviously,
care. Nobody.
It's not what we care. Dan just likes to complain.
I mean, primarily they wouldn't have gotten that deal without him being on the board.
Exactly. And nobody cares who those people are. Nobody.
Yeah, but you don't think with this big of a deal and being the first episode of Raw, you don't think they acknowledge everything that Netflix has allowed?
First of all, and another thing that he did, he acknowledged people, and then he was like, "Where are they?" And he's pointing in the crowd, and he's like, "Oh, they're up there in the suites." Oh, He doesn't even know what these people are.
Why
do we care?
was he supposed
Why
to?
do we
He was
care?
supposed to know what
This
they were
man
saying.
is making it
Don't
seem
care
like
about
he
those
cut
people.
He's making it seem like he cut the worst promo in his. He's up here just just going back and forth. And
This is the thing.
like,
The Rock comes out. He confuses everybody with a whole bunch of rambling and just positive and just energetic and just saying a whole bunch of shit. We saw this with Hollywood Rock. I don't want to see that anymore. This is supposed to be the final.
Rock.
This is supposed to be when he came out and just went into every city just saying a whole bunch of rambling shit and just giving people shit. Cool, whatever the case may be. But in this sense, it's like now you're just being an advertisement for Netflix, which is fine. That could have been a backstage segment. We don't need 10 minutes of The Rock.
That was not going to be a backstage segment. Come on now. That would not have been a
We do not need The Rock.
You know what? It would have been better.
It had to start it hot.
If you know, it would have been better if it was like a like one of those.
If he was actually addressing stuff that was happening, yeah, that would be great.
Saying,
that would be great.
Okay, you saying that it probably would have been better if it was a backstage segment. It probably would have been better if it was like a stage promo thing, like with like how Triple H does, where he's like, "We're this, we're that," and blah 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 blah. Like,
notice how Triple H came out with concise. Notice how props to Triple H for coming out being precise, direct. He's done this when it went to SmackDown, went to Fox. He's done this when WrestleMania opened up. Thank you. Just come out and just give a direct message to the fans and then leave. The Rock comes out and does all the shit that we do not care about. That does not matter. First of all, he acknowledges Cody Rhodes. He acknowledged Cody Rhodes again, who he beat backstage.
What's right?
This whole man has caused your whole family dilemma, and now you're giving him shout out.
You act like us as the audience at this point doesn't know that obviously these people are
but Lewis,
together.
at the same time, when we watch professional wrestling, we kind of want you kind of want to suspend that disbelief, even though we know.
You want to know when The Rock should have did all that. You want to know when The Rock should have did all that?
Everybody and stayed in heel Rock mode, basically.
Yes, but you want to know what The Rock should have done? He should have did all that with the promo leading up to Netflix. If he was doing interviews and stuff like that, and doing that promo work and doing interviews like that and doing those little sound bites, if he went on to ESPN and name dropped all those people, then I would understand. Then I would be like, all right, whatever the case may be. But when you take up that much time in the middle of the ring, first of all, we didn't even get the women's Intercontinental title final on this match, which probably would have been better saved for this as the first match on Monday Night Raw.
It honestly should have.
So again, The Rock taking up time rambling incoherently about shit that does not matter and shit that he shouldn't be doing. This is supposed to be the final boss Rock.
He's on the board. He's got to acknowledge his partners. All right.
There had to have been a way beforehand for him to kind of come out and a matter of fact, scratch that. There probably was no way to do that because I'm just trying to think. There had to be a way for him to come out and at least say that, like, I'm director Dwayne tonight and not the final boss. But there was no way you could have done that. So yeah. They shouldn't have had him opening the show.
The people at Netflix don't know this is professional wrestling, even though they signed a multi-year deal with him and all that stuff.
So you're just mostly upset that he broke kayfabe. That was just basically it.
There has to be some integrity here at some point. That's all I'm saying. There has to be some type
so there
of
can
integrity.
be at no point there can never be no separation.
In the promo leading up to Netflix, yes, that's where the separation should have been. Like if he was doing an ESPN appearance or something like that, or a big time Good Morning America or something like that, cool, do that. I'm fine with that. But when you're on TV,
they couldn't show these Netflix people live enjoying the show with their bells.
They could have.
Popcorn.
They could have. I don't need The Rock telling me who they are, though. Michael Cole could have did that.
Michael Cole's not on the board. He doesn't know them. They needed somebody who personally knew them, has had dinner with them, be like, hey, this is me,
just in the ring.
John, and this is Ben, and they all allowed us to be here on Netflix.
God damn it. I didn't want to start it with a rant, but Brian had to ask the question, and then Lewis had to piss me off. But it's all right.
He just
all right.
can't enjoy the fact that this man just came out and was like,
I
hey,
did
this is a
right
great
up.
deal.
I did.
This is something
Hey.
great for our product. Let's give a shout out to our current champ, Cody
I
Rhodes,
felt
who has
positive
put this
right.
company on his back and is doing great work. Yeah, I might have beat his ass and I talk about his mama, but kudos to him.
Tell Mama Rhodes I say
He
hi.
didn't like, exactly. He didn't like any of that.
I was positive up until The Rock grabbed the mic. I'll say that.
I will admit, I was surprised that he was not clean shaved. This man had like some gray hair, stubble, and everything. I'm like, what are you doing? Why are we not like?
And he's
This is the guy.
You can
This
see
is the
like
guy.
he's aging now. Like he's starting. Like you can see, like you look in his face, like he's like starting to age.
And I will say this: this is probably the only part I didn't like about the promo is at the end when he says, "Can you smell?" And then the longest pause where I felt like no one said The Rock, and he just said, "Is cooking." And I'm like, you're
Again.
supposed to say the whole thing.
Oh no! Again, this is the person that we give buys to be subpar. This is what we do. This is what we do, and I'm tired of it. I'm tired. Somebody has to say it.
Would you prefer to have Hulk Hogan on?
We're gonna get into that. We're gonna get into that.
Yeah, we're gonna get into that.
Yeah.
But overall,
say about that.
overall, it's just I'm tired of people giving The Rock a pass for subpar play. That's all. That's all. I'm tired of it.
Yeah, I will say, and I'll agree with this. It's getting. I think yes, I don't mind what he did, but at the same time, it's just getting confusing.
I'll let you know what it is. I'll let you know what it is. You want to know what it is? The Rock is Chris Jericho. That's what it is. Yes, it is.
Now you're being extremely disrespectful.
Go away. We don't need to see you all the time. We don't need that.
We're not seeing Chris Jericho all the time.
Now.
Like you said, we don't necessarily need Rock. Chris Jericho is needed over there. Okay, like desperately.
Chris Jericho is amazing. He's the Ayatollah of rock and roller. All right.
I gotta remember that I'm dealing with wrestling fans.
He's the Nueve.
The Nueve.
I'm sorry. I gotta remember. And the Ocho.
Now he's the Nueve. He's the current Ring of Honor World Champion. Like, have some respect for the man.
What is Ring of Honor? I forgot. Tony Khan owns Ring of Honor too. So
exactly.
Yeah. Right. Well, there we go. There we go. But yeah, that was the intro. And again, I didn't want to start the show off with a rant. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, for whoever's watching.
Yes, he did. Yeah. There was the opening segment. He couldn't wait to be like, this man, this man.
No, we had to start it hot like they attempted to.